Sometimes you got to throw the ladder up against the wall and climb to the top, and then you'll see, I actually meant to put the ladder up 3 feet over. But the only way you know that is when you actually get to the top of the ladder. If you were only halfway up, always looking up saying like, okay, I got to get up there, I got to get up there, I got to get up there, you'd never get up there and realize you were in the wrong spot. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. It was last week's Meetup Monday, the 5 C's of a Next Level Life. Today, for episode number 614, we are going to talk about my perspective on how to get to the next level. So a little bit about me today.
So I'm going to interview Kevin today.
Interesting.
This is actually very exciting.
We haven't done this in a long time.
I know. Last time we did this must be 150, 200 episodes ago.
That's a long time.
It is.
That's a long time.
All right. So what it takes to get to the next level. And first I'll provide a little context. You know, I've watched Kevin grow and evolve and change and adapt and learn. And I think it's important to understand that after 614 episodes of contemplating life, there's just been a lot of growth and a lot of understanding. And so I want to, for the listeners, try to extrapolate what you've learned and hopefully something you say today will be unbelievably impactful for someone's life. So first question, what do you think is the most important first step to getting to the next level in someone's life?
I think the most important first step is probably setting some type of goal. I think if you don't have a reason to get, one of the things we've seen is comfort zones. Like that is one of the biggest things that we have seen in group coaching is we have some people that are sending a video a day in the group to get them out of their comfort zones. Other people doing like measuring how often they're getting outside of their comfort zones. I remember early on, in my journaling, I would literally put number of fears chased.
Right.
I was measuring how often I was getting outside of my comfort zone because for the first 27 years of my life, I didn't do it. But I don't think I would consistently get outside of my comfort zone if I didn't have some goals attached to that. So I would say set goals that you actually want to accomplish to start. Because a lot of people set goals that they don't even want to do. Like they feel like the Art of Impossible. He's talking about like you have to set goals that you actually want. And I don't think a lot of people do that. I think they set goals that are, it takes way more willpower than they're willing to put in, especially first. You know what I mean? Like I think it's super important to have a goal that you actually want to do. And I don't think that a lot of people do that.
Why do you believe you didn't have goals for the first 27 years?
I think I did have goals. I just don't think they were either super tangible or I wanted to be successful. I wanted to have money. Mm-hmm. I wanted to have a nice car. I wanted to be in shape. The goals I wanted were like very shallow.
It's interesting because you achieved all those.
I know, and then I found out very quickly that that's not what I wanted.
Do you believe a lot of people are want those things?
I believe from what I've seen that many people want those things, but very few actually get far enough to realize that's not what they want.
Right.
I think that's why you and I were blessed. The example I used, I don't know if it was on here or a Meetup or on another podcast, but I used to work in a lot of gymnasiums, like high school basketball gyms. And when you're down at the floor, you're holding the ladder. And it's probably a 30-foot climb to get to where you're working. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you got to throw the ladder up against the wall and climb to the top, and then you'll see, I actually meant to put the ladder up 3 feet over. But the only way you know that is when you actually get to the top of the ladder. If you were only halfway up, always looking up saying like, okay, I got to get up there, I got to get up there, I got to get up there, you'd never get up there and realize you were in the wrong spot.
Right.
And I think you and I both got to the top of our respective ladders and realized, oh, this ain't it. Mm-hmm. And I think many people are chasing a result or a goal that they don't even actually want because getting the results or the goal isn't actually going to fix the thing in them that they think.
Okay. What's the thing, fix the thing in them that they think? What is the thing?
I think it depends on the person. But for me, it's always been I mean, using me as an example because I know myself well, it's always been lack of enoughness. Of like, if I have a nice car, then people will think I'm enough. If I'm in shape, what are the things that people get made fun of the most? People get made fun of for not being in shape. A lot of people, right? And that's terrible. I don't condone that in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been made fun of for that. I've been made fun of because of my height, but I can't change that. So I think it's what people are afraid of. If you're afraid of not being able to afford something because you couldn't in your childhood, you're going to set goals that you think will take that away.
Right.
Making a lot of money for me. The problem is I didn't learn the deeper understanding, which we've been talking about a lot lately, of why my money was actually going away. So in theory, no goal will ever solve that problem. It's something else. And again, I'm learning this at a very deep level because Alan's helping me. But it's something deeper. That's just a... hold on, don't tell me. Don't tell me. Oh, why can't I think of it? Symptom. That's the symptom. That's not the actual quote-unquote sickness. That's not the actual thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's safety. I thought if I had more money, I'd be safer. I'd be more certain. Not really the case because I wasn't saving the money. Significance. It made me feel good. I think people set goals to feel good. So I think it's a lot of that. I set goals based on what I thought the feeling would get when I accomplished them. I think that's the way I lived.
Unconsciously or consciously?
I think consciously to a degree. But the level of your goal setting can only be as good as your level of awareness to a degree. Like it would be very hard for me to say and again, it's not bad to set big goals that you don't reach because what will you become in the process? But when I said I wanted to make 6 figures, that seemed like very right on the outside of impossible at the time.
Right.
So it wasn't like I was going to set something bigger. I just thought it was going to bring me a feeling. I think many people set goals for the feelings, not the actual results.
What feeling did you believe it would bring you?
Success.
A feeling of success?
Yeah.
Did you feel successful?
For a minute. For however long it was. The most of the goals I've set they weren't the puzzle piece that I thought they were. Most of the relationships I had in life weren't the puzzle piece I thought they were. Most of the wins I've had in my life weren't the puzzle pieces that I thought they would be. And even now, like we've talked about this, like, you know, we'll get a good payday from a client or something, and it's like, yeah, it's a good amount of money. It wears off in a day, right? For me, that is what I was chasing for a long time, and that's something I'm rewiring in myself now of like, well, that's not what it's about, and that doesn't change anything, really.
Right.
You know what I mean? It doesn't change much logically, but emotionally it does. And I think a lot of people set goals based on emotions, not logic, including myself. I definitely have in the past.
The puzzle pieces you're referring to? If a listener's out there right now thinking and contemplating themselves, and they think that this goal, you know, lose 20 pounds or make 6 figures or whatever is the puzzle piece that they really want, what would you tell them about the truth of that based on this new awareness?
I would say, why do you want what you want? Like, why do you actually want to lose the weight? Like, what is actually under that? There has to be a deeper reason. Or why do you want to make the 6 figures? Like, there has to be a deeper reason. And I would keep digging for that reason. For me, it wasn't, I wanted nice things. I wanted options. Money solved my problems. It solved a lot of the problems that I wanted it to solve, but it didn't solve the ones that I really needed it to solve.
What ones are those?
The internal ones. The lack of enoughness, the self-value, the back then loneliness. Like the things I was dealing with, I assumed money would solve.
And what's changed now? Do you feel those things now?
No, I feel way better, but I feel like I've worked on myself way more. At that time, I was working on my bank account, hoping my bank account would fix all the me problems. Now I realize that fixing the me problems will help my bank account more than almost anything else other than, external learning and courses or whatever, coaching and that sort of thing.
But that's the me problems.
Yeah, but it's not the money's not fixing the
Right.
me problems. It's the me problems that it's creating the abundance in my life. And I think that's a new distinction for me of like,
When did that click for you? What would get that to click for our listeners? Let's say that instead.
what would get that to click? That's a good question. I think many of the goals that people set are so they can get more, when realistically what you really want is to be more. Because when you be more, when you are more, I think you feel better about yourself. There are certain things that are not, it's almost like no external thing is going to fix your internal state. Really. Because
Right.
that wears off. Like the drugs wear off, the alcohol wears off, the money wears off, the whatever, the unsavory things, whatever it is, that stuff wears off. So it's like you kind of have to go to the root, as Alan would say. You have to go to the root to fix the problem, and I don't think that's something I always did. I think I tried to Band-Aid so often, but I never realized it was a Band-Aid until after.
Same.
And even then it was like, but I felt better for a while, so maybe it's just something else that's broken now. So I need to find another Band-Aid?
Do you think that's how our listeners feel?
It's hard to say. I mean, from what I've seen in group coaching and one-on-one and all that, it's I think everybody's waiting for the next thing. Myself, you, everybody included, not just you if you're listening. A lot of people are living, when this happens, this will happen too. And I think that's, when I get a new place, I'll set this goal. I'll eat better. I'll eat better when I get a new place.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'll save more money when this happens. And I think that's how a lot of people are setting goals. I think they're setting more circumstantial goals.
But then that never comes.
No.
Because then you get there and it's when.
And it can't really come because you didn't set the goal to change the circumstance.
Right.
You set the goal based on the circumstance changing, which it probably will never do
Right.
until you change it.
So how do you overcome that? So first of all, what Kevin's articulating there is like, okay, so Emilia and I are going to be moving in together soon. I know that I'll be more productive in that new environment because her and I are an incredible team. But I'm not waiting to try to be more productive until we.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm trying to maximize my productivity already, and then I know I'll be even more productive when I get there. How do you explain?
Ladies and gentlemen, one of the biggest issues for our listeners that we've seen is not everybody has people in their corner trying to lift them to the next level, and even the people who are trying to help don't always know how.
That's why Kevin and I created Next Level Group Coaching. It's a 3-month program on teams of 10 with all people committed to achieving their goals. Click the link in the show notes for more information.
And we only take 10 people at a time, so make sure you get in quick.
If someone's waiting, like I'll lose weight when, I'll eat better when, I'll be happy when, how do you overcome that? You personally, like, how do you believe the listeners can overcome that?
Honestly, that's something that I've dealt with. So I was talking to somebody recently, and I said, for me, I realized that I was so results driven, like I want this result, I want this result, I want this result, that I realized that I wasn't enjoying the process. And I know if you're watching this or listening, I'm sure you've heard so many people say like, oh, you got to enjoy the process.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the process is everything, really, and the benefits of the process are the results. So I think that if you're out there, I don't know that waiting is going to serve you at all. I don't know that it's going to do anything. I think you have to decide. We have to set some sort of goal now. We have to set some sort of goal now, because what if the goal that you set now closes down your circumstances quicker, and then you'll be made aware of that? Like what's a good example? When it comes to the podcast, I think we've grown a lot. And we have a studio, and we try to make sure our sound quality is amazing and all that stuff. If I said, when this happens, we'll do this, we wouldn't have a studio.
Right.
We wouldn't have the equipment we have, because it's always been, well, we need it now, though. Because if we don't have it now, we're leaving massive impact on the table. There's just more necessity attached to that. There's a reason when people have heart attacks, they change their diet so quick because they have necessity.
Right.
You have to. Either you change your diet or this might happen again.
Right.
And I think that with a lot of people, maybe it's not necessary enough. Maybe there's not enough pain associated with it, where it's like, well, it's summer or it's winter, so it's like I don't really have to lose weight now. It's not a huge deal. When it's like, well, what if we created some necessity? You gotta set a goal. That's what it is, I think, at the end of the day. If you don't have something that you're weighing your current progress against, it's way less likely that you're going to accomplish it, from my perspective.
Right.
You know, I don't, even us, it's like we want X amount of listens, we want X amount of dollars, we want X amount of things done by ourselves, by the team. Like, of course, when you have those things, you're going to be more likely to accomplish them.
Of course, when you have those things, those goals, you mean?
Those measurements along the way.
Right.
Those measurements along the way. He says that in The Art of Impossible, too. Shout out to Stephen Kotler, who we're having on the podcast at some point. But that, I think it's...
In June, I believe.
In June. I don't remember the exact stat, but I think it's like you're 15 to 24% more likely
right.
to accomplish something if it's goal-based. I don't remember the thing. You're way better at quoting things. But, you know, I think that many people don't... They either have this one big goal that they've set that they don't believe is even possible, like me driving around the country in a Winnebago with my best friends and our girlfriends with no job and not understanding how that was going to happen. That was a goal I had, but I didn't do anything to make it happen. I didn't focus on it.
Right.
There was no necessity. I assumed it was just going to happen. I thought I was going to be a Major League Baseball player, so it's like, yeah, that'll happen. It'll be easy. So I don't think that I had an actual...
You thought you'd be a Major League Baseball player?
Yeah, at one point. I thought that was the way I was going to go in life, but I didn't end up. You know, I didn't. When I got calls from colleges to play, and I just didn't want to go to college. So it was like, that's the end of that. And I cut my hand open in my senior year because I was drunk.
Okay,
wasn't a good look.
Did you decide in advance to be in the MLB? Let's say you did. Let's say hypothetically, when did you start playing baseball?
10.
10. If you had decided then, I'm going to do whatever it takes to be in the MLB, do you believe now that you could have done it?
It's hard to say yes, because I don't think I don't know. My chances would be way higher. I don't necessarily know that I have the belief to assume I would have gotten there. I don't know. And I definitely didn't have the belief back then.
What if you worked as hard at baseball as you have on this podcast?
Oh, man. I don't know. I like to think I could have, but I don't know that I had what it took. I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say.
What do you think holds people back the most?
Lack of belief.
Okay. Why do you think that people don't believe in themselves?
I think, myself included, for most of my life I had a fixed mindset. And a fixed mindset doesn't set you up for success because it highlights your problems and it convinces you that your problems they're just going to keep happening and that problems are a bad thing. And I think when I started understanding, like we say, we Jeffed it, fail forward, all of that, when that started to shift, I started to understand that, like, mistakes aren't a bad thing.
What if you had that mentality during baseball?
I think it would be very different.
Right.
I think it would be very different. But that was so foreign to me. Like, such a foreign thought. I can't even explain how foreign it was. It just...
Can you try?
It wasn't an option. It wasn't even there. It wasn't a choice. Like, that wasn't a choice to say, like, this failure is actually a good thing. That choice did not exist in my mind. Because I'd never been shown it. Yeah, I'd never been shown it.
Was there anyone in hindsight around you that lived by that? Had a growth mindset? Who in baseball had a growth mindset and did better than you because of it?
I don't know. I don't really know because I don't remember. Back then, I don't think there was a lot of that.
I know.
But I could be wrong. Maybe I just didn't see it.
I don't know if there was a lot of that. I remember even my guidance counselor telling me that
right.
I couldn't get into MIT. I remember thinking to myself, like, what? Of course I can. Someone has to go.
Right.
Even back then as a little kid, it never made sense. It's like, I have straight A's.
See,
who goes?
Back then, it was the opposite. That made total sense to me.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
That
I just
never
didn't
made
have
sense to me.
I didn't have the belief. I didn't have
I
the
don't know
belief.
what was different about me. It's interesting.
I know.
I remember thinking back then, like, you're wrong. I could do that. Who else goes to MIT other than people that are amazing at math and get straight A's?
I don't know.
Right? You know what I mean? It's someone has to go.
I told you today I didn't know what WPI was until I met you.
Right. Well, okay. You believe self-belief is the root of why more people are not at the next level.
That's from what I've seen, yeah.
And you believe it's because they lack a growth mindset.
And the people around them
Lack a growth mindset.
probably lack a growth mindset.
Okay, so what do you believe the listeners should do if they feel like they struggle with a fixed mindset?
Mindset by Carol Dweck is a great book to read. That's a good place to start. I think changing the questions you ask yourself are important. Like for me, it's always been what's the worst that could happen? Assuming the worst would happen every time. Like for me, it was changing that relationship of like the worst thing that could happen is this. It's gonna happen most likely. Changing that to like, well, the worst thing that can happen is this, but even if the worst thing happens, there's still these things that come out of it. That's been a huge, huge, huge change for me.
Why do you think you used to default to the worst thing happening? Like assuming the worst thing would happen?
I don't know. Because I think for a long time it probably felt like it did. And
Right.
I think if you watched us or listened to us for any amount of time, you might have heard me say like my identity was the person who got lucky. Like,
did you grow up in an environment with a lot of people who have a growth mindset?
no.
Do you
No.
think that that's why you had
I
a
think
fixed mindset?
I think it's definitely one of the reasons.
Right.
I think it's one of the reasons. And I wasn't super smart in school. So that part of what people valued, like I didn't really have. I was good at sports.
Right.
But even like, again, it's the identity of I was lucky. Like when I struck out, that was what was supposed to happen. When I got a hit, I felt like I got lucky.
Oh,
I
you're an
wasn't-
all-star, man.
I
It doesn't
wasn't-
make any sense.
I know.
Right.
I know, but think
All-star
of it-
baseball player.
But think of
Just
it.
got lucky over and over and over again.
If you're
right?
if you're an all-star, you still get out 7 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
Technically,
Baseball is interesting, yeah.
odds-wise, I was lucky.
But compared to everyone else, statistically,
I
you
know,
weren't lucky. You
I
were
know,
skilled.
I know,
you
but
know, and I know you know that now.
It's one of those things where it's like,
Belief is everything.
we've talked about this before. We could get off this episode and we could get 1,000 messages for people to say like, oh, that's the best thing I've ever heard, 10 out of 10. You don't know what I was thinking when I did the episode. Like, you don't know what I was thinking when I did the speech. It doesn't matter what people think. It matters what I feel. Like, I might hit a grand slam, but if I was afraid I wasn't, that's what I remember.
Are there people that step up to the plate, like feeling like they're going to hit a grand slam?
Yeah, probably every Major League Baseball player, probably.
Right.
They're very confident because I think you have to be to get to that level.
Yeah. You do have to be to
So
get to,
I don't
to
know.
get to that level.
I don't know that I would
You have to be
got
talented and have belief.
There. I don't know that I would have got there with my.
But with belief, you probably would have.
I know.
Honestly. Because you were fast, too.
It took me some years.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. The
Deep
timer
episode.
went off.
Yeah, yeah.
Very.
Yeah,
it
yeah.
went by fast, man.
It did go fine. Fast. I can't
So, oh, look forward to those 1,000 messages.
I'm a little overwhelmed if you can't tell. My engine blew up in my car, so I'm trying to. I got to figure out that whole thing. So yeah,
Little adversity.
a little
for the kids.
adversity.
So, last question. What, out of all of this, for our listeners, what do you recommend they change or shift that you believe would change their life at least a little bit?
I would say your circle. Like if you don't have people who believe in themselves or have any goals, again, like I've been that guy, so I very much understand. I think that's a good first step because you're going to be around people who want more out of you. Where a lot of people are afraid for you to want more because it means you might leave them behind. I think for me, that was huge. I was very lucky where two of the most influential people in my life wanted better for me. You and Matt both wanted better. Like, you know, you always lifted me up. Like I lived with Matt while we were both chasing dreams. Like I moved in there so I could save money to podcast and so he could save money with real estate investing. So I've been very lucky to have people around me who not only believed in the vision, but they invested in the vision.
But I also think you sought that out.
I know, and it's hard for me to see that, but so maybe that's the advice is seek out people who actually pour, gas onto your fire. Because I know a lot of people are trying to put out other people's fires
For sure.
because they don't have their own.
Right.
And they're afraid that your fire is going to burn too bright and whatever it may be. And again, nothing against them.
Right.
I was that insecure person. I still get insecure about that sometimes.
Right.
Right. So it's not like I'm better than that. I think that's kind of par for the course. But if you don't believe in yourself, you can't be around other people who don't believe in you either. Because if that's the case, you're going to be in trouble. If you get around somebody who does believe in you, then you can be off to the races.
And they won't believe in you unless they believe in themselves.
Yeah.
I've learned that. And if I believe in myself, of course I'm going to believe in you because I can't give away what I don't have. If I do have self-belief, I can give it to you. I can give you some.
Yeah, and you have.
And that's absolutely. I think that's so critical for everyone to understand. Fire. This is really good.
This was a heavy one.
Yeah, man.
This is a heavy one for the kid.
Mm.
I haven't been in this position in a long time.
Well, I enjoyed it.
I did too. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed it also. Look at your small arms.
Small arms.
Jacked. Up next, we have... so we're going to do the same thing, except I'm going to interview Alan on Alan's perspective on what it takes to get to the next level. Obviously, Alan and I are very different human beings, so we have very different perspectives, but we wanted to jump on here and be a little bit different. Just a little bit different, a little more personal, a little more lessons, a little more past, a little more history. We wanted to do that because I think it's important.
For sure.
I think it's important for us to connect with you guys.
I'm excited for that.
I am also excited for that. Also, every single Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live in Next Level Nation, we do our weekly Meetup Mondays. Do not miss them. It's easy to join. You can watch us live. You can comment. We'll be able to see the comments. You can ask questions. We'll be able to answer the questions. And we also have a 20-minute post-Meetup mastermind with Amy and the rest of the amazing NLU squad.
And we dance.
We do dance at the beginning.
At the beginning, we dance to some jams.
Yeah.
Also, so I'm going to do this kind of for you.
Oh, okay.
So if you are out there and you are like, you know what, I don't have that many people around me who believe in me, I know that Kevin is opening up 5 spots for mindset coaching, and he can instill belief and tactics and deeper understanding. I can tell you from experience that Kevin has been around some of the sharpest minds on the planet for a long time. And there's no version of you being coached by Kevin and not improving your life.
I appreciate it.
And honestly, if I could talk to Kevin 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago, I would tell him, get around Kevin. As a matter of fact, you coach Brandon on our team, and he's flourishing in a huge way, and he's kind of like an old Kevin.
He is.
And
That's
so
why
if you
I love working
resonated,
with him.
absolutely, if you resonated with what Kevin just talked about, and if you are listening and you resonate more with Kevin, that's okay. Reach out. Just please DM him or DM myself. Amy, Tiff, those relationships started with one DM.
Yeah, almost everybody on the team has been coached by Alan or myself at one time. I appreciate the love.
Absolutely.
And again, at the end of the day, guys, my goal is to be the person that I needed. So that's why I coach the way I do. That's the reason Alan coaches the way he does. So if you are looking to get to the next level, reach out to Alan or myself. Like he said, whoever you resonate more with, we understand. That's why we do the episodes the way we do. And I appreciate all the love.
Absolutely, bro.
Ladies and gentlemen, as always, we don't have fans. We have family. We'll talk to you on the next one.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.